Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Alex Makarovski. She is a certified life and relationship coach and the founder of Inner Me Coaching. A core aspect of Alex's approach is transformative communication, which inspired the creation of Communicare, a 10-step self-paced guide focused on fostering authenticity, empathetic connections, and more that we'll be discussing today. So this is my brief bio about you, Alex. The full bio will be at the end. But the question that I love asking, and I always begin this way, is how would you introduce yourself? Who is Alex in her own words?
First of all, hello to you too, and I'm so grateful for you to having me here today. So, and answering your question, there are so many ways to answer it. Like, I mean, of course, I'm a wife, a sister, a friend, an entrepreneur, a life coach. But in my own view, what really defines a person is what person wants to do. And what I want to do is to help people, help them to find themselves, help them to build the life they love and want, help them communicate better, and support them on that journey of self-discovery.
Yes, that's beautiful. What's not to love about that, I usually say, and that comes back to mind every time. It's it's the journey or the expression of purpose. That's what it feels like a calling, a mission. So is that how you feel? Like what are you doing these days? Is that do you call it a purpose? Do you call it a mission? What inspired you to become a coach?
Well, I think I have known that for a long time. Well, actually, I wrote an article about it not that long time ago. I wanted to be a doctor, and I entered medical school, and I left it after 1 year. My parents were like shocked, but I don't know.
Sure.
Just I just I had this need to help people, but when I was there, I realized that's like a no.
Right.
So long story short, after 10 years, I realized that the work that I want to do, it's actually help people, but looks like not physically, but emotionally, mentally. And I started with the life coaching because I was going to be a therapist and get second master's in psychology. But just coaching attracted me that much, so I just stayed here for a while.
Yes. So the topic of our conversation, the title is that I put it here is relationships begin within, the art of
Yeah.
empathy and deep connections. So I guess the question that comes to mind immediately when I hear the word empathy is how do you define empathy? And what is the difference between empathy, sympathy, love, kindness, and other terms and concepts we have?
Okay. So to me, empathy is actually be there for someone, and in any conversation, whether it's with someone you don't know, whether it's someone you love. Empathy to me is like I'm here, I hear you. Like it's a safe space. Sympathy is like, oh yeah, I'm sorry about it. Okay, you'll be fine. Bye bye. So yeah, I would put it this way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Sympathy. It sounds like something like that. And then when it comes to empathy, If we compare that with this concept of kindness in love, Alex, do you see a difference? Is there a difference? Or when we love, we automatically become kinder and we behave and we come from a place of empathy? Are they all connected somehow?
Yes and no. I mean, at core, yes, I believe that should be that way. But unfortunately, we live, I mean, I said unfortunately, well, we live in the real world. And sometimes we
Yeah.
do love someone with all our heart. But, real life tasks, day-to-day things, like bills, etc. So I think we just forget that we can be empathetic and that we can project that love we have inside through
Yeah.
empathy. And actually, that's a big part of what I do. I do my best to let people know, like to help them remember that it is inside of them already, especially with the people they love. They just
Yeah.
sometimes forget about it. I also, me too, I sometimes forget about it. My husband sometimes forget about it. And it's important to understand that, in my view.
Right. Yeah. Wow. We'll explore that, unpack that in a minute. I have a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so it's a practice in a way, isn't it, Alex? So empathy becomes a
Um,
practice, or it's something that we already have, and then now we're just expressing it, learning to express it.
Okay. If we don't talk about extreme situations like disorders and stuff like that, let's leave
Yeah.
that to therapists. As a coach, I work with as a coach, I work with like people who do not have mental disorders, and yes, this is something that again at core, I believe everybody have that,
Right.
but it is also a muscle. And how do I know that? This is the interesting because I also, at some point, I did not know of the concept of empathy, how that works, how you build it. And when I started exploring this, I realized that there are so many things I did not know. So I leaned in. I tried to practice it. I tried to learn how to be more empathetic intentionally, and that worked.
Right. So how do we address perceptions, like the perception of other people? If we have the intention and we know that we are coming from a place of empathy, how about if somebody don't see it that way? How do we know who is telling the truth?
Okay. I don't know if what I'm about to say is the actual answer to your question, but like and I'm going to say this a lot today. It all starts with awareness, specifically self-awareness, awareness in relationships. So I'll give an example. For example, a couple comes for coaching, right? For relationship coaching. And he's like, almost fighting, like, you do that. No, you do that.
Yes.
And I asked you and you didn't. And, usually you just ask them like, why why did you decide to be together at the first place? What qualities attracted you when you just begin? And I almost can see it in front of my eyes. They're like, okay, let's think. And like once you open the door and they just really start talking why they love each other, like if we talk about empathy, it just appears there, and it looks beautiful if you ask me. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the way I see it.
Right. So going back to the very beginning, the feelings and what, right? You just made me think about that now. Gosh, yeah, that's an exercise for me to do. And speaking of exercise, I know you suggested, right, an exercise that we do an empathy exercise. I mean, you have so many of them. The steps, there are so many different kind of exercise. So please remind me in the end or any time that you want to do the exercise with me, if this is what you suggested, I'm open, so we can do the exercise at any point throughout this interview.
Absolutely. Like if you feel up to that, we can do it anytime.
Yes. So there are 10 steps to Communicare, and that is it's a guide. It's a guide
Yes.
program. I love the word. I love that everything's based on empathy. That's one. And then Communicare. That's such a beautiful term. It's communication, almost like for me, it came across communicating with care. Is that
Okay.
the idea you had
Yeah,
in mind?
exactly. That's exactly what I was
Yeah.
trying to display, and I'm so happy that you also see it that way.
Right. Oh my God, I love that. It's like, we have this concept of nonviolence. That's a form of communication, of behavior that's always coming from a place of nonviolence. I don't know if that relates to your work or if you thought it that way. A lot of times I don't think about it, but it kind of makes sense to me that, it's almost like being very, almost like nature itself, nurturing. When you meet somebody, you kind of, nature is just so beautiful in a sense that when we walk in nature, we feel nurtured, we feel inspired, we feel welcomed, warm. It's just incredible. And I wonder if humans can resemble, nature more in that sense, if we can become this living, this rational kind of thinking nature.
Yes, I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I will answer now. It just something resonated with me. As there is a book, The New Earth, by
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle, and I don't remember in which chapter, but he was talking about the beauty of a flower, and saying about the presence and talking about when you can enjoy that kind of beauty, you can see that there is something more to it. So, funny story. I was listening to this audiobook and I was running in a park. And when I heard that, I found a flower. I stopped, I found a flower, and I was like, looking at it for a very long time, really trying to see the beauty. And you know what? That was one of the best experiences I had for a long time. Because I was working a lot back then. I was working in corporate, and this evening walk and run was something that I was really looking forward to every
Right.
evening. And I so much enjoyed the beauty of that nature. So after that, when I went for a round, I didn't listen to the music. I was just, running, walking, and, watching trees, watching flowers, watching nature. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, but kind of trying to be one with what I see.
Yes.
And
Um,
I don't know, maybe from like people who saw me thought like I'm just a weird person staring at the trees. But for me,
right.
I really enjoy that. And I still do this to this day. And to me, as you said, you meditate a lot.
Yeah.
And I also meditate a lot. And like, this is a big part of my meditations.
Wow. Yes. That's beautiful to hear. I love the way you said that. It's becoming one with whatever we are in touch with. Right. And, this is something that a lot of people feel like it's abstract when we talk about this, becoming
Yeah.
one with something. It's like, what's the sense in that? A lot of people, they can't really understand. So if we can put words into it, what would that feel like? What would that experience be like?
Wow, that's a wonderful question. The only one word comes to my mind: beauty.
Mm.
It's like, feeling that beauty of a flower and kind of be a part of that. Yeah.
And I have heard about, some spiritual teachers or leaders that they have, that's the scent, the perfume around them, love. They
Mhm.
don't look like a flower, but they are just I mean,
Um,
but does it resonate with you? Does it make sense to you somehow?
Absolutely. And again, it's really curious that you mentioned that, because so many times, I don't know if that happened to you, you tell me. So
Yeah.
when you feel really, in love, whether with yourself or someone else, or in love with what you do, when you really, in this
Mm,
kind of mood that you feel like you're almost flying, people sense it in you, that inner beauty, and the conversations
mm.
that you have, the interactions that you have, they're just completely different. Have you ever experienced these kinds of things?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. I fell in love many times, and I'm talking about romantic love.
Yeah.
And then I remember like seeing everything, seeing beauty everywhere, place that I didn't see before, place that I couldn't, even in myself, I started seeing beauty everywhere. Everything just looked so much brighter and beautiful. So gosh, I have too many questions for you. I would love to just dive into the 10 steps of Communicare. Do you have
Okay.
that with you, Alex? And if you
Um,
don't, I have them in front of me here. If you could just give us a little glimpse into what anyone's it's would be expecting when they are engaging with your guide.
okay. Yeah. I opened it on my iPad. I
Oh,
mean,
good.
I don't think I'm gonna need that, but just
Oh,
in
good.
case.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so few words about Communicare that I really find important is what I try to do in this guide is to help people start with themselves, like with the perception of themselves, their own thinking, identifying their own needs, and articulating that.
Right.
Uh, Slowly flowing into listening empathy kind of thing, like understanding that, and then jumping into conversations with others. So
Right.
it's not about public speaking or anything like that. This is about connecting with yourself and connecting with others with care.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
with care? Because I don't know the situation right now. I haven't checked that for a while, but maybe like 10 or 7 years ago, I was searching for something that could, improve my life. And I felt that communication, it's something that I need to improve. And all those messages like be the most confident person in the room, win every argument, etc. It just felt,
Mm,
impossible, because let's be honest, you cannot always be the most confident or the smartest person in the room. That's not possible. But what you can be is your best version,
mm.
your authentic you. And that's what was missing from me in all the communication courses. So after so many years, when I finally on the path I want to be on, I felt like that's the message that I want to send to the world.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one, though. So, how do we know when we are being authentic? Have you kind of contemplated this idea within the context of almost like descriptions? What are the signs or what are the principles to be sure that we are being ourselves?
Okay, so in terms of Communicare, it starts a bit different. It's not about uh, be yourself. It's about what you want, identifying what you
Mm,
want and how you want to feel about it. And I believe through that experience, you can feel who you are. But the question that you asked is very interesting, and I don't know if that's the answer you hope to hear, but that's like we know inside.
mm,
It's not about answering a set of questions. It's not about talking to someone or getting feedback. Deep inside, deep inside, we know, like when we live the life we are not supposed to live, where we're not who we are, like I was doing for years and years.
Right.
You just, I know, in my case, I just did not feel happy. I mean, I had everything I needed, like everything the person needed. I even like got married, and I was happy in my marriage. But I knew I'm doing something that brings me money, but I'm not doing something that brings me joy.
Mm.
And So that's why I believe we know things deep inside. We know from the very beginning. When I entered medical school, I knew who I was. When I left medical school, I knew who I was. I just did not follow that. So yeah, that's the way I see it right now.
Wow. Yes. It really resonates with me. Yeah. That's it's almost like paying attention to the expression, right? Call what resonates with us, what calls our attention. That just makes what brings us joy, right? That's just a big one. And the question that comes to mind is, so why do we go against that a lot of times? Why do we yeah, like in your case too, right? You just, oh, let me just try
Okay.
something that I don't even feel like it, but I'll just try. So why is that?
Okay, so I don't think there is one way to answer this question,
Right. Yeah.
but I will not. Yeah, I already mentioned that sometimes what we have to do in life, like bills, families, etc., like obligations, that's the big part of that. But I think
Wow.
we've already talked about it a little. But another aspect of that is. And that's exactly why I start my Communicare with well-defined requests, because we can, a lot of time, we can articulate what we don't want. We can name hundreds reasons why not, or a hundred reasons what we don't want, what we don't like.
True.
But it is so difficult for some reasons to articulate what we do want, how we want to feel. And I think the absence of that awareness for some people creates path for them that isn't authentic, that's something that like they don't want. Because they act from, you
Yeah.
know, from the space where I don't want that, let me try something else. Instead of, okay, I don't like that. What do I like? How can I achieve that? How do I want to feel in the process? People, unfortunately, very
So
often
true.
don't ask that question.
Gosh, that's so true. I love that. Yes. What do I want? Wow. A lot of us, a lot of times, answer that question in a very simple way. Like most human beings, fundamentally, we want it to be happy. We want to be healthy. We want to be peaceful. So all these fundamental, basic, you
Hmm.
know, almost like components, right, of what
Hmm.
this experience requires to
Yeah.
be in a state of well-being.
Hmm.
So that's the starting point. I want it to be happy. I want it to be peaceful, and it's that
That's not the
simple.
starting point. If you ask
Mm,
me, in my view, that's not
yeah.
the starting point. And I wish it was, but the starting point is I want to be safe.
Ah.
That's where we start, and that's where we start overthinking, and that's why we don't ask ourselves those fundamental questions that I didn't ask myself for 15 years until I gained the courage to do that.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of people. I mean, not on a podcast like you, but yet I have a lot of interactions, and I see a lot of similar issues. It's not like, okay, I experienced that, meaning everybody do that. No, that's the pattern that I've been observing for a few years now, and it's there. And when the person is capable of break that pattern, that's where joy and love and happiness start.
Wow. Yes, I can see that as a journey, right? So you start with, I mean, what you said is just true. it's interesting that we don't really think about that. When you ask most people, what do you want from life? The answer is usually, I want to be happy, I want to be healthy, I want to be peaceful. They don't really say, I want to be safe. So, but
No.
that is really the ground, right? That will create that sense of happiness, of health, of peace. It's safety. That's
Yeah.
true. But we don't think that way. And I'm just wondering why we don't kind of think about that immediately and answer that question that way.
Okay. A very good question. So, I think this is just a given, like Maslow pyramid. Sorry, I'm going a bit to psychology side here, but
Yeah.
this is the base, and we need to be safe. And sometimes we're not even aware of like happiness, all
Yeah.
this comfort kind of thing. For example, if you have a robbery and someone is chasing you, would you think about how happy you want to be tomorrow? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
No, no, not at all.
Well, there you go.
Uh,
Yet, since we always have that awareness of that we need to be safe, I think this is why, this is precisely why we choose, like we choose safer ways of, of living our lives. Like we need money to feel safe, to have house, to get food, right?
yeah.
And sometimes we just listen to that logic, which is not a bad thing. But sometimes, this logic is whispering you like, be accounted, be accounted, be accounted. But like something on the other side is screaming, like, you need to write your songs.
Right. Yes, that really resonates true to me. Gosh, I have already a lot of other questions about that, but I'll end here so I don't keep going because I could go forever about that topic. I love these topics though. That's why I do this. So step 2 is communication wheel. So you have, talk to me for a moment about that. Perhaps that would be a good idea because I wanted to ask you a question about listening in step
Yeah.
3.
Sure. So communication wheel is basically designed to split the whole topic of communication in parts and work on it one by one. Because like if we say,
Yeah.
I want my communication to get better, it's just too general. So what it does, it helps to bring this into, in my case, 8 pieces of pie, slices of
Yeah. Yeah.
slices of
Yeah.
pie, and just tackle it one by one. I also, in communication wheel, I ask participants to choose 3 aspects of the wheel that they would like to focus on. Because, for some people, for instance, cultural sensitivity might not be the topic they are really interested to talk about. But I like listening, self-talk, and verbal communication could be like the most important ones. So I ask them to identify like from 1 to 10 where they are now, and from 1 to 10 where they want to be by the end of when they finish with the guide. So this also creates kind of measurability for the process. So since I'm a life coach and I applied also some techniques that I use in life coaching, it's important for me for them to see the progress, not only feel it, but also see that, because some people that's how they perceive information.
Right. So listening is a very interesting one. Listening.
Yeah.
And I know you have exercise for all of them too. I made a note of that too. So many interesting exercise here you have. So what is about listening that most of us don't know? What are the misconceptions about listening?
Sometimes we think that we listen, but we actually don't.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, yeah, I heard that. but okay, you heard that, but did you really listen? So when it
Yeah.
comes to communication, like interpersonal communication, to me, and of course, as a life coach, listening is not just listening to the words. It's listening to the emotions, listening to changes, like really, really watching, really, really looking into how the face changes, the gestures, this, small, subtle things. And as a life coach, I can say that most of breakthroughs they start from here. So like you notice something that person is experiencing and you address that, and then person like, yeah, why? Or I mean like,
Yeah.
why? And wow, yeah, yeah. And even if it's not a coaching session, even when you talk to someone, I always like to give my full attention. Like I'm there. Nothing else is exists, and honestly, it helped so much in my life. And like really, when you're able to do that, really powerful tool. So for the sake of interest, a simple tip, like when you really listen to someone, because okay, sometimes we need to listen, but come on, like we're just want to do our own thing as well,
Yeah.
especially at work, in corporate, or I don't
Yeah.
know, with neighbors. But when you really need to listen and understand every single word, just repeat silently everything that person says. This way, your attention will be fully on that person, and you will remember what the conversation was about.
Yes. That also resonates with me. So it has a lot to do with attention, one, but it goes back to empathy. I'm going back to that. And it feels to me a lot of times when I'm having these conversations here, when I'm talking to other people, it feels like a meditation even. I think that's why exactly what you said. It feels like because I'm here present, fully present. When I get out of these meetings, I feel different. And it's almost like this was a completely different, had a different atmosphere, or was in a different world, different
Yeah.
reality in a way. So yeah, that's why for me, that's how I know that I was present, that I was right there.
Yes, I'm laughing for a reason, because
Yeah.
when I have a session and I'm really there, and I know in 3 minutes or 5 minutes I have another session, and I'm kind of still in that word.
Yeah, right. Oh God. Yeah.
I dance. Like I dance in the middle of my rooms, to shake that word
Ah.
and dive into
Mm.
another person's word.
Well, I love that technique too.
Looks funny, but works every time.
Yeah. So the step 4 is self-talk, and then 5, empathy, 6, verbal communication, 7, nonverbal communication, and then digital communication, adaptability, and culture sensitivity. If you were to pick one to explain a little bit better, perhaps one step or one of these concepts that people, are most interested in, or they get kind of, it's a challenge for them somehow, which one would you choose to elaborate a bit more?
I will choose digital communication.
Yeah.
Uh, Precisely because this is usually not what people are interested when they talk about communication, but I do find it very important. And in my view, digital communication, it's not like what we're doing right now, talking
Right.
through video call, right? This is like online world, which and every aspect of that word is affecting you constantly. So there are a few topics in digital communication. One of them is kind of feels off or even weird for some people, but I'm not removing it because I still believe this is a very important part. So
Yeah.
I start there with like loneliness and isolation, because we shop, we watch, we communicate, we party even online right now, happened to me as well. So, and
Yeah.
like then we go out there, we kind of feel weird. So we sometimes replace face-to-face interactions with digital ones. And this is important to remember that there are offline activities. There are people out there. I mean, if you don't know what to do offline, go on the internet and find something around you that you will enjoy, where you can go. This is important part of it. The other topic there is self-image.
Yeah.
I will not go deep into that, but questions that I included for digital, for self-image is like, does the content you consume align with your values? Does it make you feel better person? Like, does it drain you or does it empower you? So, and basically what I say there, if the answer is no, maybe it's time to unfollow or mute those kinds of things. And third topic is the sleep. That's what people get kind of confused, because why are you talking about the sleep
Yeah.
in communication course like guide? And what I say, if you don't sleep well, if you feel drained or less refreshed, how this will affect your communication the next day. So this is important, and I've included there a few reflection practices that help you. It's also a part of self-talk, if you ask me, because
Right.
I'm curious. Does it happen to you? You go to sleep, and all these thoughts just
Oh,
start
yeah.
to rolling all over your head. Like, okay, did I say something wrong to that person? Or like,
Yes.
and what will happen tomorrow, next year, whatever. And then you find yourself after 2 hours staying in your bed like that and not knowing what's going
Yeah.
on. So I included a self-reflection exercise to help process that those thoughts a few hours before you go to bed. And again, in digital communication and other steps, all those tools and those techniques and questions, this is something that I constantly use myself and do myself. Even Communicare, I've done it for 3 or 4 times, and every time, even though I created it, every time I find something new for myself.
Yes, I can imagine. Wow. I love everything about it. And I love how the depth of it, you go really deep into every aspect, almost like tapping into so many aspects of being. And the interesting thing is that it feels to me like the more you know yourself, the more you know others. So you become such an amazing guide and coach for others because you have this investment, this commitment to know yourself. That's what it comes across to me. And you just mentioned, yeah, you're doing this work yourself too. And that's, I interviewed somebody recently, it was a psychologist, and she said that, that was the message really, that we should be doing our work as psychologists. It's very important that not just passing on, asking our clients, our patients to do the work, but we have to do our own work too. And that was the topic, actually, the main topic of the conversation.
I can tell you more. I mean, if you want to hear for a second about it,
Yeah.
this was a part of my coaching training. Like, you cannot be a fishing coach if you haven't been coached and if you haven't experienced what you expect other to experience through coaching.
Right. That's it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Alex, for being you and for doing this beautiful work. Thank you. It's just, I mean, what's not to love about it? It goes back to love because remember we talked about the flower
Yeah.
and nature. It always goes back to that for me, and I don't know. There's something that resonates true and truth when I think about love. when I talk to so many people, and when I ask these questions about, if there's one purpose to life, what would that be? If you were to die in about a month, what would you do? These questions kind of always bring the same answers, out of everybody. It's amazing when it comes to the goal of life, the purpose of life. It goes back to love. It is helping one another as the expression, but the foundation is to love and be loved. Yeah, why not be loved? Yeah, that's another one, right? That we could unpack. Yeah. Relationships, being loved.
Absolutely.
Do you want to make a comment about that, Alex?
If that's okay, I'll get back to the flower.
Always.
Because what Communicare is about and what my practice is about being your true self, being authentic, and the flower, when it is there, it's true self and it's authentic and it's beautiful. So I really see a connection in this one for myself, because I do not feel beautiful when I'm not me. It just doesn't work that way.
Yes. Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. And if we talk about being authentic, if we talk about beauty, if we talk about love, I already said that today. We know deep inside, if that is not happening, we know. And when that is happening, we also know. So that's why another word that I use a lot is self-awareness, whatever it is. Even if you're not in that place of beauty and love, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not going to be in months, year, day, hour, who knows? So that's my take on this one.
I love that too, because there's always a door that's open, right? It's a door that we can enter.
Yeah, but we need to see that door. Self-awareness.
Yeah. So becoming self-aware, that door kind of appears. Yeah. And then the door kind of shows up. It's always there, but in our perception will show up. Yeah. I love your wisdom too. You're very wise. Thank you. I call it timeless wisdom. That's timeless wisdom to me. So I want to mention some of your services, your website first. So innermecoaching.com. If you change that, let me know, Alex, and then I'll just replace it. You offer life career coaching sessions, relationship coaching sessions, transform your life program, and of course, Communicare program is part of that too. And you offer a free discovery call just in case somebody wants to try. Did I miss anything when it comes to your service?
No, that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again. Before we say goodbye, I wanted to ask you the question about freedom. So what is your idea of freedom? What is to be free to you as of this moment?
Be who you are, do what you love.
Yes. Gosh, that's simple. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Just be you are, do what you love. It sounds so simple, but we tend to just go everywhere but there. It's funny, but not funny, really. Thank you so much again, Alex. You're such a beautiful flower.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you for being the gift. A lot of times we give flowers as gifts. So I think that's what it is now. The metaphor I see here, so many people that I meet, I see them as flowers, and they are gifts to the world, to humanity. So thank you again for your beautiful presence. And we'll talk soon. Bye for now, Alex.
Thank you. Bye.